City of Stevens Point Plan Commission meeting, recorded May the 4th, 2026.
At 6 o'clock, we'll call the regular Plan Commission meeting to order, unmute, and we are ready to go. Could we get a roll call, please?
Mayor Wiesa.
Here.
Alderperson Kneebone.
Here.
Commissioner Artson.
Here.
Commissioner Beacom.
Here.
Commissioner Rice.
Here.
Commissioner Shady Strike.
Here.
Commissioner Schuler.
Here. Everyone is present, so we will move on to items for discussion and action. Item number 2 is the report of the April 6th meeting of the City Plan Commission. Those minutes and actions were included in your packet.
Move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Arnson.
Second.
Second, it was Rice or Beacom? Beacom. Seconded by Beacom. Discussion there? Any comments from the audience?
Only one minor comment. Just make sure my name is spelled properly.
Make it so. Was there an error in here?
Yeah, it's spelled wrong in the minutes.
Okay. Let's make sure those get corrected before they get published. I apologize for that. Anything else? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that is approved. Let's get this rolling. Oh, people are logging in here. All right. Item number 2 is a request from Bailey Voigt, representing I-39 Properties LLC, for a modification sign variance request to install a freestanding sign on the property located at 1501 Woodward Drive with the parcel identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 25.14. The information was included in your packet, but Adam, could you give us a summary again?
Yeah, so this request is to modify the issued sign variance that was considered by this commission and the council back in 2018. Back in 2018, the sign variance that was granted was an increase in peak height for the freestanding sign, as well as the signable area, 50 feet for the height and then 170 square feet for the total signable area. Just for context, based off of how this property is zoned, the maximum height that's allowed is 20 feet, and then the maximum size that's allowed is 150 square feet. As part of this modified request, there is a reduction in peak height down from 50 feet to 45 feet, and then an increase in size from 170 square feet to 231 square feet. Essentially, this would be treated just like just like another sign variance request. The standards that I have included on the bottom of page 8 in the packet. Overall, the intent behind why the sign was proposed back in 2018 is still here today. No change in terms of the total reasoning for the request. So overall, staff recommends approval. There are a couple of conditions placed on there, not really much to do. Number 1 is just reiterating the max height and size that's allowed. Number 2 is a carryover condition back from 2018. So staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any comments from the commissioners or questions? Okay, comments or questions from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, I'd entertain a motion. Commissioner Schuler? Oh.
Go for it.
I move to recommend approval with the conditions.
Thank you. Is that a...
I'll second.
Seconded by Shady Strike. Any discussion? Any additional comments from the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that's approved. Item number 4 is a public hearing and action on a request from Benjamin Nusz, representing Midstate Technical College, for a conceptual plan approval of a proposed development on an unaddressed parcel bounded by Badger Avenue, consistent with Chapter 23.02, Sub 4, Sub B, Sub 5. Adam?
Yeah, I'll actually invite Chief Moody and the Midstate folks up to the podium to present, and I'll chime in at the very end about
That sounds wonderful.
why we're doing this.
We'll be joined by the others in a moment, but I just want to thank you all for your time today. My name is Benjamin Nusz. I am the Stevens Point Downtown Campus Dean for Midstate Technical College, and one of my roles there is to both oversee the operation of the campus, but also to ensure that Midstate is meeting our community's needs. And we moved downtown out of this room here because we needed more space, and we've filled up the downtown campus. I also heard that we needed manufacturing, and we've built some manufacturing capacity. There's been one thing that I've been hearing regularly from our community, and that's that we need to do more for public safety. We need to expand our training offerings. So we have a presentation here to share a little bit about this project. So I'm going to start by turning it over to the president of Mid-State Technical College, Dr. Shelley Mondyke, to really talk about our why.
Oh my gosh, and he pulled it down right away. They're used to it a little bit when I talk. They have to do that. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us be able to be on the agenda and talk about this project. What I want to do is just provide a little bit of the background about why we're here so you can understand the magnitude and the impact that this project can have. So the two pictures that you have on the screen are two really needs that have been identified. I came into Mid-State in 2017. The first need that we heard at that time was healthcare. We needed to do more because we had over 200 people on a nursing wait list. So we looked for a partnership to be able to have a simulation center. And Aspirus in Wisconsin Rapids raised their hand and said, we have a third floor that we're not using, and possibly this could work for you. We then found, of course, some funding partners to be able to outfit that for us. And currently our healthcare simulation center is on the third floor of Aspirus, and it is working beautifully. Just like Ben had said, then we heard that we were missing some things in manufacturing, needing to do more advanced training, engineering, and so forth. And again, we rolled up our sleeves and said, okay, let's see what we can do. And it's kind of ironic that Wayne Bushman is here tonight because he was the person in this community that stepped up when he heard about our project and said, I have some land. Mike, you introduced me to Wayne. I got to give you credit for that. And we started talking, and he said, what are you trying to do? And I said, I need some land. Do you have a building? And we raised $23 million. We did that with over 180 businesses that donated money. We had over 130 individuals that donated money, and we had 8 municipalities, and we opened that in June 2024. Everything Mid-State does is through partnership, and that's why we've been able to continue to meet the needs. Next slide, Mayor, if you have it. So back in 17, when I came, public safety was identifying that they had some needs as well, and what I heard was that they needed to have more training locally in their area. They could not always just come to Wisconsin Rapids. So they were wanting a decentralized model, because when you think of a volunteer fire person, if they need to drive 2 hours to get training on a Saturday, they say, you know what, I don't want to join the department then. So we were really like, what can we do to address the decentralized piece? But then also our facilities were not meeting the needs from an advanced training. We still do our emergency vehicle operations course in our parking lot. We don't have an emergency village. There's a number of props. So we heard both sides. Next slide. So what we did is we set out with our partners, and I'm very proud to say the City of Stevens Point. Mike, I think you're going to see your picture there on the second one. We came and we're like, okay, do you have a parcel in the city where we could go ahead and create this decentralized area, which now is about 4 acres, I believe, Chief, correct? And it's really where the City of Stevens Point, along with the local communities, can come and get that local training. The top picture is what we have in Wisconsin Rapids. We signed that agreement with the City of Stevens Point in 2021. We also did the same in Marshfield, which is that third picture, and we just did our Adams one in 2025. So we're really proud of that, and boy, has that made our public safety leads really, really happy, and they're telling us that it's helping with their workforce and their training needs. JB, you have a number about, since we have started in 2021, just to show you the magnitude for your own department, talk about, I think it's about 3,000, is that right?
That is correct. So to this, as of to date, since 2021, just the Stevens Point firefighters alone on the 3 shifts have already done a total of 3,000 plus hours of training just at that site alone. So not including everything else, just on that site, on that premise, 3,000 plus hours of training. And that is crucial training to be successful when those alarms come in.
Thanks, JB. I think it really shows that these decentralized training sites are very, very busy. Next slide. So we're coming back around now to say, okay, centralized. What do we want to do to be able to meet that centralized need, which really means that we have to be able to bring, when we say public safety, fire, EMS, law enforcement, and corrections all together, because they don't work in silos. And we know that they have to do some training together, and they use many of the same props. So what we were hearing from our agencies is that they can no longer be traveling to Chicago or Milwaukee for training. They need to be able to come here because their budgets are also dwindling. And when they have to pay travel costs, hotel costs to send their people out of district for training, they're doing less and less training. And when they're doing less and less training, that's impacting all of us from a constituent standpoint, which has really made us take this as a very critical need. Next slide. So we very much said, okay, if we're going to do this, we really need to look around and see what else is out there. We've done a lot. We put together a core team. We've traveled out of state. We've traveled to many of the other technical colleges that have a public safety center to make sure that we would do what is right for our 8 counties that we're serving. Next slide. With that, it's been wonderful to hear all the other needs that are coming up as we're meeting with people. In our area, I'm sure you're not surprised when it comes to agricultural needs or even railroad. Right now, there's no place local to get railroad training. Industrial safety training, we can expand that, so some of those same props could be done locally. And public works, I mean, I keep hearing about, when someone picks up your garbage, where do they learn how to do that the first time? How do they learn how to do the snow plowing? This is a public safety center, yes, but it'll be a multi-use complex, which is really exciting. Next slide. Aerial technical training, we need to do that. We hear that. Emergency management, technology, AI, responder wellness. Really, this is, again, a multidiscipline center is what people are telling us that they need. Next slide. We already have a number of partnerships, and as people have heard about this need, they continue to say, what can we do to either come to your area? How can we further expand what we're already doing with you? And this is exciting just for the city of Stevens Point, because when we look at where in our district we should put this centralized center, based on everything you have and the partnership we already have, is the city of Stevens Point or the Plover area. I need to say that. And since you were our first partner with our decentralized model, and we've outgrown it, this new location would not only serve as the new decentralized area, but it would be also our centralized area serving all of our 8 counties. Next slide. So the state of Wisconsin last year said, public safety in the state of Wisconsin, it is a crisis. People do not have the responders that they need. So what did they do in the state budget? They took care of the first bullet. They actually put some money in the state budget for EMS training, which is wonderful. The other 3 bullets is what we have been told that we need to do, which is regional cooperation, training accessibility, and very much being able to cross-reference and bring people together. Next slide. You're going to see that slide a little bit later. So after our assessment, after our travels, after talking to everybody, and even the state of Wisconsin marching orders, we have concluded that we have to try. We have to be able to get this centralized complex, because if we don't, it's going to affect all of us, because when we need these people to respond, we need them. And we need to make sure that they have the latest training. And when we did our review, we also found that these decentralized training sites that we have in Adams or in Marshfield or Wisconsin Rapids, we need to continue to develop them as well, because those are very much needed for the volunteer departments. And I'm happy to tell you, you're the area that we want to be able to put this centralized center in. Next. So, impact, big. Addresses the regional public safety workforce shortage. It's going to save agencies money, which is very critical, so they can still do even more training locally. Retains their local talent because they don't want to lose anybody that they currently have. And it really provides this real-world multidisciplinary training. What we hear over and over again is when a high-speed chase starts in Portage County, does it stop at the end of Portage County? No. Goes into Wood County. Could go into Adams County. Our agencies want to work together. And again, I think you're going to find the support that we have from our agencies is unheard of. Next slide. What makes the city of Stevens Point also very attractive for this mid-state location is we want to be connected to something that is live, that is working. Something to really show our students the collaboration and really what is happening there. When AMETA came, to be able to put our building in an industrial park, which are what we're training, that is very attractive. Hearing that you have a need for a station, a fire station, number 3, that we could actually co-locate, that makes us even more hungry to make this happen. And then when we talk about that there could be a satellite police station, which the chief is going to talk about, because of our conversations, this is a win-win for everybody. JB? I'll let him talk the fire language, because I don't know that as well.
Thank you. let's move that just a little bit.
Here, let me move this too, so in case you need to, I just talk and don't always use my slides.
I'm
do
good.
I? Okay, good.
Don't even need that.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. So again, the Stevens Point Fire Department is looking at that partnership with the two needs and one solution, obviously here in Stevens Point. And what we're looking at also is reducing the liability through an additional station on the east side of the city as the city grows. But we're also focused in on our long-term planning. When we look at our 5, 10, 25, 15, 100-year plan for the City of Stevens Point Fire Department, we look at our core values, and we look at the mission of the Stevens Point Fire Department. And as you can see in that mission, we talk about life safety, education, but ultimately it's about risk reduction. Risk reduction. By being able to add that third station to the east side of the city where we're growing, and to be able to reduce response times, and to be able to put those people on scene faster, it's really important. And you can see some of the leading industry partnerships that we have with different organizations as the slide shows as well. Next slide. Now, when we talk about what the fire department is facing into the future, everyone knows that if you step onto the plane, or the playing field, I'll call it, if we have a working fire. By the way, Chief Hoffensberger and Chief Zavara just actually arrived, not in their Class B or Class A uniforms, because they were actually at a working fire all day today, and finishing up a fire investigation here in the city on the west side of the city. We all know when we step boots on the ground on a city structure on the west side, you're going to find that 800 to 1,200 square foot home was built around 1900 to 1920, and we have heavy timbers, and we have a structure that we're able to go into and fight that fire for many minutes. We talk about the middle of the city and that 1950, 1960 home. We got into more of the ranch style homes, the 15 to 1,750 square foot homes. And they were still what we'll call cotton fiber and solid wood materials within that facility. And now I'm going to take you out to the east side of the city and what we're facing here in today's fire environment. These 2,000 to 3,000 square foot homes, lightweight construction, all put together with glues. All of the materials inside are plastic, and they don't last for more than 10 minutes once we get a working structure fire inside these. We see open space concepts and the fully involved fires that grow quickly. You'll see the void spaces, and you'll see the smaller lot lines. Smaller lot lines. When we talk about what a fire service is about, it's about life safety, property conservation. Property conservation. If we're going to write that one structure off, or we're able to save it, we don't want to have to send the second or sign the third or the fourth lightweight constructed building off as well. We want to be able to stop that with the smaller lot lines. And the new technology is something we're facing all the time. So, next slide. When we talk about these types of fires, fire grows 16 times in size every 3 minutes that it's not addressed. What I want you to think about is at home. During the day, you have a waste paper basket that starts on fire. We teach you to shut the door behind you and exit the building, correct? By the time we arrive 4 minutes later, if we're able to get there in 4 minutes, that becomes a room and content fire, which means that whole room is now fully involved at that point. At night, 2 o'clock in the morning, smoke detector goes off after a room is completely involved. You get out, but when we get there, we're looking at potentially a fully involved structure fire. It's important to understand that we need that first arriving apparatus on scene within 4 minutes. Currently, we do not service anything east of I-39 within 4 minutes of a response time. Nothing east of I-39. Next slide. So, what does it look like currently with how we respond to fires? You can see on the left-hand side, those are our two current locations that we have fire houses. Both of those have 4-minute response times because the first two apparatuses have to be fire engines. And we have to talk a little bit about fire trucks here in a minute. And what I will explain is an engine is what carries the water, carries the hoses, and carries our personnel to be able to suppress that fire. A fire truck would be what the apparatus with the large ladder on top of it. Those first due apparatuses you can see in the gray, how they service the community. We did a gap analysis. We found that there were gaps within the city. And as the city continues to grow to the east, we're not able to respond appropriately within that 4-minute response time. Now, with the proposal, you'll see on the right, you'll be able to see the 2 smaller circles. Those are our engines. We are proposing an engine at both houses and a truck company which can respond within an 8-minute standard in the center. You'll see that that gap analysis has really closed. Next slide. You'll see our EMS response times. EMS response times are a little different. EMS response times allow us to have 8 minutes from the time of call. You'll currently see that we have a large overlap where the 2 ambulances are currently located. If we're able to separate those a little bit further, and continue to keep one at Station 1 and put one at the proposed Station 3, you can see how that overlap decreases and we're able to service more of the community in the response area. Next slide. Now, this is not just for a public safety center or a Station 3. When this project took off, I sat down with every department head or director in the city of Stevens Point, asked them their needs and what they could see as a potential need at this new facility. The police department asked if it would be possible to put a small satellite station at this location. And I said, sure. What do you need? Well, we would need an interview room, a break room, a report writing room, and a bathroom facility to be able to keep law enforcement on the east side during their operational period or their shift. Okay, we can incorporate that into the design. Went to DPW. And we said, what does DPW need? And DPW came back and said, we need a few parking stalls. Throughout the day when my people need a break or we need to pull in and we need to be able to use accommodations at the facility, not a problem. It'll save on our work hours if we stay on the east side of our community. We talked about a salt and sand storage area. We talked about a fuel site. And the fuel site, again, if we looked at with conditional uses, was not optimal for that site, and we are aware of that. But I wanted to put it on the slide because I wanted to show you the collaboration that we're talking about. Snowplow training. The president of Midstate hit that. First thing he said was, you know, we need to be able to train our people how to drive our plow trucks or snowplow trucks a little bit better. I said, all right, how are we going to do this? I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you get me the schematics and the blueprints of what a city street looks like, and that's how we'll design our village. Our village will have streets just like the city, and you can come in there and plow and practice. Hey, that's a great idea, Chief. We talked about garbage can pickup. He says, you know, where do we practice how to pick up garbage cans or dumpsters? Well, if you're going to have a village out there and you're going to have burn facilities and you're going to have search facilities and you're going to have all these different facilities and it's going to look like a village out there, why can't we put a few plastic garbage cans out there, a dumpster, and be able to have our people practice? Great idea. Then we went to water and utilities. And the first thing they said is, we need a water tower on the east side of the city. Well, you're right. And that's moving forward. But you know what? Let's partner. Let's work with Midstate. And Midstate said, we'll do one better. Let's build the water tower on our facility. Let's use it for high-angle rope rescue. Let's use it for water treatment. Let's use it for all sorts of things that Midstate can teach on. And then on top of it, let's look at painting it for the city of Stevens Point and saving the city that cost. We're maybe going to paint it in Midstate colors and put Midstate on it so you can see it from the interstate. That's a good beacon. These are all types of collaborations and things that we're working on with different departments as we move forward and you look at the site plan. Next slide. So where is this going to take place? Well, we're going to need a large facility or a large area to be able to do this. And working with community development, we found a 36-acre parcel that's already owned by the city that meets the needs of both Midstate and the city. Now, I will sit here in front of every person and say, this is not the absolute ideal spot for Station 3, but working with the community we have and not plopping a station right in the middle of a subdivision and partnering with Midstate Technical College, I do feel this is the best spot within the city to service the east side appropriately. Next slide.
So when JB and I first started talking about this, it was almost a year ago. And at that time, I had went to my board of directors and said, okay, we've been talking about this centralized location. I think I have a partner. Are you willing to let me go ahead and keep investigating it with the chief? And they very much said yes. We came back to them now in March and basically did a full assessment for them, analysis of all the stuff that we found. And I can tell you that my 9-member board unanimously said, Shelley, you need to try. You need to do this. They also have committed dollars, of course. We can only commit $1.5 million, but this would be a grassroots campaign, just like what we did in Meta, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Next slide. But on that starburst, before I leave, 62 agencies is how many we have in our district. If all 62 are trained better, you heard me say before, all of us get taken care of better. So there's 172,000 people that live in our 8 counties. We have pretty much all of Portage, all of Wood, and all of Adams, but then we just have parcels of like Marathon with Share. 172,000 people are going to be able to get some benefit from this when we really need it. Next slide. Here's the letter. All 62 chiefs from fire, EMS, corrections, and law enforcement signed this. We had a meeting at a Meta in November, and this is big. This is going to help us position not only from a local need, a state need, but also a federal need. I will tell you, to have 62 leads all agree on one thing, that really shows you how they're behind this. And of course, we know public safety agencies don't have money, but they are connected to their community, and they have their people that support them, which we believe are going to support this project, and that's why they're signing on. And keep that in mind that also the people that are in other communities, they know that we want to put it in the city of Stevens Point, and they still signed it, which I think is so important, because when we put up a Meta, one of our first donors for lab was a company from Marshfield, and people said, why would a company from Marshfield give you $250,000 for naming rights for a building that's in Stevens Point? Because it's to serve all 8 counties. This is to serve all 8 counties. And I just can't say that enough. Next slide.
Can I
Yeah,
just one
of course.
I'd like to point something out on this slide. I'm currently working on my 29th year in fire and EMS. And I've been around the block. I've worked for municipalities, private, military, and all sorts of other organizations. I have never actually had everyone agree on an actual project. And I know she said it, but I really want to stop and reiterate that. 29 years in fire and EMS, working in all different sectors, and I've never had every person agree.
It's because they can see what it's going to bring to their agency and what it's going to bring to their communities. So what is it going to be called? It's going to be called the nexus. Because when you look in the definition what nexus is, it's the connecting link. It's where people come together, and that's what this will be. It will be a center that really will be an excellence in both education, our degree programming, but also all that professional development training that people need. We have named it. Midstate is a go. We are going to have the Midstate Nexus, and we are hoping that the city of Stevens Point will partner with us to ensure that we can have something co-located with our public safety. Next slide. A lot of schematics. We needed to be able to show a visual so you could kind of see what we're talking about, and this is where Ben and JB are going to kind of walk through some of that detail in a very quick fashion.
Thanks, Shelley. There's a great Winston Churchill quote, and he said, "First we shape the space, thereafter it shapes us." In naming something the nexus, we are intentionally bringing the intersection of those that will protect and serve together to be able to train together. And so you'll see that in some of the plans. So we know that the Plan Commission is really about what we're doing, so I want to thank JB and Dr. Mondyke for sharing why we're doing it. I hope that point came across. So this is the initial plan view that we have of the building. You'll see it's kind of color-coded. What is in blue is what we're looking at to serve Stevens Point Police Department. What is in lavender is the Stevens Point Fire Department. And then the green is really those shared spaces. So there's a lot of shared areas that will benefit both organizations, in fact, all organizations. So in the green area, you see a decontamination area, a training or a workout facility, and then also a locker room. And so we're hoping that intending that both organizations would be able to use that. Just to the left of that is 2 fire bays, and then we also have some areas to service that. You'll see a large community center that is in the front. So this is hoping to serve around 225 to 250 individuals for a conference space. That is an ongoing need that we have. And then you'll see the classroom facilities. So all told, we have a total of 7 classrooms and 8 labs. We'll also have a corrections area with a Sally Port, booking rooms, and jail cells. And then we also will have those 2 emergency bay apparatus. So we are intending to train 4 police, 4 fire, 4 EMS, 4 corrections, and intending for all of them to be able to have a state-of-the-art training facility that is going to be right next to each other. Chief, did you want to talk a little bit about the fire space?
Sure. So as you can see, a few different areas that we're going to inhabit, with the first being the blue in the northwest corner. That's actually going to be the satellite police station. They'll have access, and we talked about that collaboration and what will be in there. The lavender, obviously, or purple, is going to be our facility. It's going to have 4 apparatus bays. It's going to have the ability to have our turnout gear areas, EMS and fire supply area, a classroom for our everyday training, some bunk rooms for our staff that are going to be staffing it 24/7, our division chief's office, a lieutenant's office, and a report writing room out there. Again, it's important that we talk about that green shared space and that decontamination area to be able to come in after a fire, a working fire, and be able to use that decon area and go right across to be able to use the shower facilities for carcinogens. And one of the leading causes of death within our firefighters is cancer. It's not the leading cause, but it is one of the top causes of death in our firefighters is cancer, and we want to make sure we're answering that as well before we move forward and not being short-sighted.
Thank you, Chief. So you'll notice all of our spaces will be of the same quality and caliber of what you'll see in our downtown campus and our Ameta Center. So next slide, please. This is our proposed site plan. So you can see we're looking to take up almost a full 40 acres. You can see where the building is situated on the east side. We're hoping to have adequate parking that meets all parking standards. On the northeast side of the lot, you'll see that we have some canine facilities, some storage buildings. Running down the center of it, a lot of that will be our emergency village. And so you're going to see a large fire apparatus. You're also going to see some buildings that look and feel like they are from the community. So we want to be able to simulate in a training environment that matches what individuals would see in central Wisconsin. You'll also see just to the west of that, you'll see a little rail through there. So we're looking for some hazardous materials and some rail training. We're hoping to have actual rail cars so that they would be able to see what they intend to see in the real environment to be able to train on. And then all the way on the far west side, that is the emergency vehicle operation course. So yes, we will be training with vehicles out there, and then also a large kind of landing pad as well. You can see in our building materials, so we will have things that look and feel just like the Ameta Center. So we will have wood-based steel panels, we will have stone, we will have brick, we will have high-quality building materials that will draw people into the community. Next slide. Yeah, please.
Also, when we talk about the conceptual design of this public safety center in Station 3, we did look at not only what Midstate looks like currently, but also what the Stevens Point fire stations look like currently as well. And with the update, or the most current updates with Station 2 and the new roof that just went on there, and a lot of extra additional work that's gone in to Station 2 by our personnel on a day-to-day basis, we took, as you can see, the steel roof, the black, and some of the other designs and those red colors that came out of the Station 2, and merged that with Midstate's design to be able to show this, this concept or this rendering.
Next slide, please. So we have some draft renderings of what it's going to look like. And we can see the one on the right from the inside looking into the fire bays. The one in the upper left-hand corner, that would be the Midstate entrance. The one on the lower left-hand corner, that would be Fire Station 3. Now, we saw in the site plan, we talked a little bit about our operations, and we know we're talking about conditional use today. So what are we going to do in this space? Well, a lot of standard educational purposes. So we're going to have classes there. We're going to have conferences, but we're going to be training in a way that is appropriate for these fields. We will have some lighting, and so we wanted to just make sure that we're talking about what type of lighting that we're going to have. The lighting levels really will be task specific. We know we're going to be putting parking lots out there, so it'll be similar to what we see in our other educational facilities. We also know that we will have some noise. One of the parts of this proposal is to have an indoor firing range, not an outdoor firing range, but an indoor firing range. And so we want to make sure that we are mindful of the intended use in that community. We also will be driving some vehicles out there, and so we want to be mindful of those partners that are on there. We're working with the architect to have a berm with a solid acoustic fence, particularly on that west side. We acknowledge that there are some residences that are over there, and we want to do what we can in our plan design to make sure that we avoid both the visual and the noise caused from our operations. Next slide, please. We know that we will have some traffic. Badger Avenue is out there, recently built, and we want to point out we would be the first thing in that development, so we don't anticipate that there would be any traffic concerns to begin with. We estimate early on to have about 350 individuals on a daily basis, but those are likely going to be staggered starts, so it isn't going to be that all 350 are going to be leaving at the same time. We also want to point out that we do have a shuttle that will be able to bring students from our other locations, and this will bring them throughout the district. Really proud of our shuttle. We had 374 student rides last year, over 65,000 miles driven, which is 10 round trips for between Wisconsin and California. So students are using that, and that is another resource to bring students out to that area. And then finally, yes, we will burn things. We will have live fires in which we will train. We need to do that to be able to train on that, and that's also why we're not putting this right in the heart of a residential neighborhood. That's why we think that this is the right location. Now, when we do burn things, we do have Fire Protection Association guidelines that tell us what we're going to burn. Now, this is typically Class A fuel. So this is wood that you would see that isn't painted, that isn't going to produce a lot of really nasty smoke. But occasionally we will burn things. We want to point out that we want to make sure the public is informed when we do that. Just like when the fire department does trainings, they're notifying those community members so that we don't have erroneous or false 911 calls. Now, how much do we intend to burn it? And we typically currently hold about 2 to 3 live burns per month as this ramp up. That may increase, but it isn't that we are constantly having fires. Also, when we do have a burn, we typically put it out right away. We're training on putting out fires, and so they are going to be in a controlled environment.
There are so many shared benefits with doing this together, and you can see them on the slide as well. First, from a benefit standpoint, from a mid-state student, it's real life working with, again, a real life public safety agency. That's why this co-location is really something that we are choosing to do. You can look that, we're also happy to say that the City of Stevens Point is one of our clinical preceptor spots. So with an additional location, they're going to be able to take more students, which is wonderful from a workforce standpoint as well. And we know that when our agencies train students, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to stay and work in this district rather than move to another one. So that is that's a huge attractiveness for you as a city standpoint. Dollars, we know that if we're able to put this up together, there is just savings in building, and that's what's also noted on this slide. Next slide. So where are we at? Again, you heard me say that Midstate has already approved us to be able to go, as long as the City of Stevens Point says that you're in to be that partner for us. We have filed our city permits. We're hoping that the month of May we're able to get the approvals to be able to move forward. And the plans would be that Midstate would launch a capital campaign for this project probably mid-fall. I can't say enough that this is a grassroots effort. So what that means is we're going to do it the same way that we did a Meta. It's going to be us reaching out to employers and individuals, talking about the public safety project. I can tell you the community is already talking about this because they're hearing about it. We're going to position it from a local standpoint. We're going to try to get some state dollars on this, and we're also going to try to get some federal dollars. Not looking at a referendum, nothing like that. Grassroots. It's worked well for us in the past. I can't guarantee, but this is also multi-years. We took 5 years to make a Meta happen. All of that full 36 or 40 acres that you saw, that's not all going to develop in 5 years. But we wanted to make sure that we have a site that will give us the land to do everything that we need to do what his public safety needs are. We don't want to have to move again. And if you're going to put a water tower up, we can't have a water tower over here and a parking lot over here and so forth. It's got to be one shot. I'm thinking about 3 years for the capital campaign. So when you think about that, 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29. Now I will tell you if some federal dollars come in or state dollars come in, that could go sooner. But right now, I wasn't planning on COVID during a Meta. I don't know what's going to happen next. Some of the resources are not there, but right now I'm going to say probably at least a 3-year capital campaign. We already have 2 companies, Aspirus and Gamber Johnson, have already come on to say that they will be a community campaign chair with us, and I can tell you all 4 industries, law enforcement, corrections, EMS, and fire, they also have leads on each of those clusters that are going to be out there as well trying to make this happen. That's exciting. We will have naming rights just like what we did with a Meta, which will make some employers, of course, want to give. One of the niches of Midstate is that we're located in the middle of the state. And I always say that people from the north want to come to Stevens Point, they don't want to go south. People that live in the south want to drive up to Stevens Point, they don't want to go north. We have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And when we look at the student impact of this for this city as well, it's about $8.2 million on an annual basis from a student earnings, what the students are going to spend and all of that. This is going to be a very, very busy complex because you can see all the different trainings that we're going to be able to do, which is our reason why we can be able to sustain the mid-state portion of that. Next slide. A lot of project impacts, everything that we really have talked about. There's so many reasons to do this. Next slide. This is that slide that I showed you before. If the governor is trying to do the first slide, I can check off now the other 3. If this happens, Midstate's doing its part to meet the critical need for public safety. You already have been a partner with us. It's just taking it up to the next level. This site then would not only be, again, the centralized location for our entire district, but it would be the decentralized site for the City of Stevens Point Fire and the surrounding communities as well. Next slide. Wow, that was a lot of information. It seemed like we kept your attention, though. But do you have questions for any of us? We are so excited about this, and I hope that we have your interest as well. What can we answer for you?
Any questions from the commissioners before I open the public hearing? Okay, stick around. After the public hearing, we may have a few questions.
Sure, absolutely. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll just chime in briefly about really the why behind these two, this agenda item and then the next one. So this property, along with the broader East Park Commerce Center, was annexed into the city, I think, early 2010s-ish, as part of a marketing campaign with the WEDC to essentially lure development along that chunk of land. When that annexation took place of East Park Commerce Center, the city applied this planned industrial development overlay district for the whole swath of land and really kind of stopped right there for when future development would come down the pipeline. As prescribed in code for the planned industrial development process, it's subject to the land use standards of the base zoning district, hence the reason for the next item, the conditional use permit, because an educational facility is a conditional use in all zoning districts except for the Conservancy District. For the planned industrial development, it's a multi-step process that would need to be had prior to any development occurring. First would be the approval rather, of the conceptual plan. Second would be the approval of the site plan review. Now, the site plan review is not going to take place tonight. That will be brought before you folks in the council at a later date. So you'll see the full swath of plans, landscaping, lighting, etc. Conceptual plan, you'll likewise for the planned development rezoning requests. Essentially, that's the opportunity to outline any deviations from code requirements as part of the development. In this case, there are no deviations that are being requested at this time.
Thank you. Shelley, I was thinking about this through the whole presentation.
Yeah.
You need a cool acronym. So like National Education Experience Unified School.
You know, we actually played with that a little bit, but when we kept talking, it's like, it's the nexus. It's breaking down silos and bringing people together, and we landed on that. It just seems like it really says what we're trying to do.
I was just teasing. And we went, if you
Well, you know, I'm an acronym person, so the team will tell you that.
It's got to be spelled correctly.
I've heard about that, actually. I've heard about that.
All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to offer testimony, please step to the lectern, state your name and address for the record, and provide that testimony.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kurt Hoyer, and I am currently the Director of Law Enforcement Jail Academies at Mid-State Technical College. Been a long-time instructor there, and I've been in the law enforcement and public safety arena for over 42 years. And I must say, before I share some remarks from a dear friend, this is probably the most exciting thing that I've been involved in this work in a long time. And so those that know me know that that's the truth. Those that are yet to get to know me throughout this project, it'll be proven. This is amazing. I'd like to share a statement from the Gamber Johnson CEO, Gautam Malik. He was unable to be here tonight. He wanted to be here tonight. Like Aspirus, Gamber Johnson is I'm going to keep going back. It is close to Gamber.
But they don't even exist anymore. So.
Yeah. Malik could, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to be able to share this. The Gamber Johnson proudly announces its support for the Nexus project, recognizing the initiative as a critical investment in public safety, innovation, workforce development, and a stronger, safer community across our region. As a longstanding leader in delivering rugged mounting systems for mobile workspaces, solutions in public safety, fleet, industrial, healthcare professions, Gamber Johnson understands the importance of preparing organizations and individuals with the tools, training, and environments needed to succeed in high-demand industries. The Nexus project represents an opportunity to strengthen collaboration between public safety, industry, education, and community partners while creating that support, leadership development, technical excellence, and long-term regional growth. Through this initiative, future professionals will gain access to modern resources, real-world learning environments, and stronger pathways to meaningful careers. Gamber Johnson is proud to support the Nexus project, an investment that will strengthen the future of public safety, workforce development, innovation, and community impact across our region, shared Gautam Malik, our CEO of Gamber Johnson and dear friend. As a longstanding partner in this serving safety agencies, it depends on precision, reliability, and readiness. We recognize the critical role strong education and community partnerships play in preparing the next generation of public servants. For all sectors of public safety, to industrial operations and mobile work environments, these fields demand excellence, coordination, and real-world preparedness. The Nexus project will help provide the modern foundation necessary to meet those expectations. Gamber Johnson also works closely with partners across essential industries to support high-performance operations. In practical, field-ready solutions, the company sees firsthand how strategic investments in this education, infrastructure, and collaboration will directly improve outcomes for our businesses, workers, and communities that we serve. Lastly, investments in education, innovation, and workforce readiness directly translate into stronger, more resilient communities. Malik added, the project reflects a shared commitment to collaboration, forward thinking, leadership, and service. The Nexus project represents a bold step forward for regional growth and workforce excellence, ensuring future generations are equipped to meet the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. Thank you very much for allowing me to share.
Thank you. Public hearing remains open.
Carrie Penovich with Aspirus Health. I'm the Southeast Division President, and we are located, I work at 900 Illinois Avenue. So Aspirus Health is proud to support the Mid-State Technical College Public Safety Building Project, an investment that will strengthen the future of emergency response and community safety across our region. As a long-standing partner of Mid-State Technical College, Aspirus recognizes the critical role Mid-State plays in preparing highly skilled professionals who serve on the front lines of care. From emergency medical services to law enforcement and fire protection, these careers demand excellence, coordination, and real-world readiness. This new facility will provide the modern training environment necessary to meet those expectations. Aspirus also works closely with local EMS agencies to ensure high-quality, evidence-based care. We see firsthand the importance of well-trained responders and the impact they have on our patient outcomes. Investments in education and training directly translate into stronger, more resilient communities. This project reflects a shared commitment to collaboration, innovation, and public service. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing remains open. Public hearing is still open.
Andrea Olson, 410 Franklin Street. I'm also the District 4 alderperson. I'm going to speak on this personally from some concerns that I have. Like, this is great. Everything about this sounds wonderful and great. Dream come true. However, I'd like to see the pros and cons about this too, because there are some cons here that aren't being discussed, because this is about $800,000 worth of property that will now be tax exempt if this occurs. And it's also in a TIF district. There are also, I was wondering why, like the Fox Valley Technical College in Appleton, which has a training facility with airplanes even, North Central Technical College in Merrill, Lakeshore College, Cleveland, and the Wisconsin the Wisconsin State Patrol Academy in Sparta aren't being considered as other facilities that are nearby that could be used for training, how those ones will be impacted, because we're hearing this will be the central thing, but we also have these other facilities that aren't too far away. Some of them aren't. And also, I'd like to see some type of an operational agreement prior to agreeing to all of this, because we already know how our city and county have issues with buildings constantly. So it might be wise to have an operational agreement that could be reviewed prior to jumping in and then fundraising starting, and then everybody's like, what's going on now? This doesn't sound that great. Lastly, I have one more thing here that I took a note on. This didn't allow any public outreach either. The agenda came out on Thursday, so the public hasn't had any knowledge about this. I'd want to see if our because some of our taxes do go towards the technical college, how we all are going to be impacted by this. And a facility study for the Stevens Point, or for our city first, so that we know how we're all going to be impacted by this overall from government perspective. Are we going to be then getting out of some of our other locations? Because are we still going to need that other training facility, or can we put that back onto the tax base then? Are we going to need all the rooms here in the future? Is the plan really to move all of Public Works out? Like, what's going to be happening? So I'd like to see this on a full facility scale so that we can have some long-term planning and not just some short-term decisions.
Thank you. Public hearing remains open. Public hearing is still open. And for the third and final time, the public hearing remains open. Seeing no one in person or online wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed and bring it back to the commission. President Mondyke or Chief Moody, did you want to address any of the concerns that were raised during the public hearing? Or is that something you want to touch on a little? I realize it's putting you on the spot.
No, I can
These
very much.
questions are usually best asked prior to the meetings, but
No, I can just speak a little bit to the technical college. There are 16 technical colleges in the state of Wisconsin, and we are all serving a specific area, really serving the needs of that area. So every technical college may have whatever. Some people may have a dental program, another one does not, another college. One might have the public safety center, another one does not. We are tasked, though, to be able to serve our community, and the hope is that we are doing what we need to from a local workforce standpoint. Those public safety agency leads are saying, I can't drive to Fox Valley because I can't respond then in my community. So the dollars to be able to travel to those other centers are a burden. And that is why they're coming to us to say, you are supposed to, of course, maintain the workforce that they need. This is what we need, just like what we did with our Meta Center, just like what we're doing with our Healthcare Simulation Center. So it's really addressing a need. Yes, I think in the Fox Valley area, they had a need for airplane training. We're not going to do airplane training here. So again, every project is based on what their community needs. So I guess I would just speak to that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief?
Sure. To address two of the concerns right off the bat, I'm not quite sure on the DPW moving out of their facility and how that looks into this project.
Not going to happen here.
Again, I did talk about DPW and that partnership and having the ability to use the site for some training purposes and, you know, a few other things. But as far as DPW moving out of their current location to this location was never in this presentation. So I want to make sure that's clear. And then the second thing was to address the current site at 3100 Whiting Avenue. We would be initially, that was all city property and was actually all of DPW's land. We initially started with 30,000 square feet and continued to evolve and move forward. And with great partnerships with other city directors, we were able to get about 4 acres of that facility for our current located training site. And as you can see, we've outgrown that location, and so we're going to go from 4 to 40, and that location would then be turned back over to DPW to continue with whatever needs they would have at that site moving forward.
Thank you, Chief. Any intention on closing either of your 2 stations right now and consolidating at this site?
No, that is not the plan to consolidate either location out at Station 3. It would be to operate fully functioning 3 firehouses.
Thank you. And I should point out, Commissioners, too, this is a conceptual plan, right? It's meant to be the first discussion of this. Everything has to start somewhere. So this is the first presentation. Things will be developed over the next several years, as you heard President Mondyke say. I would say that the Whiting Avenue site hasn't been on the tax rolls in a long time. That was we called it the pit, where the Public Works Department keeps a lot of their old road mat demolition material. They do the leaf transfer there. That's a very industrial area. I don't think we would be interested in developing that at any point also. I should also point out that the site that's being proposed is currently owned by the city and is not on the tax roll. However, could it be developed into something else? Absolutely. So with that, we're looking for the authorization with these next 2 items, really, the conceptual plan and the conditional use, because obviously if the answers are no, it doesn't go any further unless we can fix some of those no's. But what I think the group is looking for is kind of a head nod to continue to pursue this endeavor. They're not looking to, approve the final site plan. This is conceptual, but they're looking for any concerns that come up right now that they can address, and really, like I said, the head nod to move forward, at least in this first one. So, Commissioners, what are your wishes? Commissioner Schuler.
Well, I appreciated the presentation very much, and I also appreciated the application materials that were included with the packet. They were very informative. I would move to recommend approval of the concept plan for the project.
Thank you. Seconded by Beacom. I saw his finger first. Usually when people give me the finger, it looks different. Any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess a couple of questions that are jumping out to me, hoping maybe city staff could talk a little bit more. So obviously a unique project, and what seems to me like a unique partnership with both kind of city agencies as well as mid-state. Is this a model that we've seen before? And I guess my imagined concerns would be, how is kind of the co-maintenance or management, both physical maintenance as well as kind of financial management of a property and project like this, not just initially but long-term? What does that look like? And the other question I would have, again, some unique land use things going on here. Any concerns about impact on future build out of the that industrial park area? Obviously, having live, although suppressed fires isn't like a common thing that your neighbor has. So any concerns about attracting additional businesses to the area based on some of the proposed land use here?
Yeah, I guess short answer for your second question, Matt. Short answer, no issues. I think I mentioned this a few times, kind of alluded to this a few times in the report. Arguably having a fire station, having the DPW support services in very close proximity to potential industrial users would be viewed as a net positive. Yeah, and arguably there's the old adage that since the city owns the property, arguably will be more responsive for any negative concerns that may arise from the operations of the site versus that of a private owner. So yeah, short answer, no concerns.
So I'll piggyback on that with Adam on question number 2. We just finished working with the bid and giving this presentation to the bid.
Business Improvement District.
All right, sorry. Business Improvement District. And again, just like he had already reiterated, they see it as a net positive. They see us as sprucing up the area. A lot of the industrial and commercial properties out there that were at the presentation were much appreciative of what our future plans are and why it wasn't thought of sooner. So that's kind of answers question 2, and then I'm going to turn question 1 back over to the president.
Now I'm trying to remember what question 1 was. Question 1 had to do with, is there other models and so forth that we would be following, and how would things work from a memorandum of understanding? Absolutely, we would be creating one with the city. There are models out there. So if I specifically talk again about the city of Eau Claire,
Sure.
has their fire station co-located with CVTC. We already have a copy of their agreement, and they talk about what they're responsible for and what the technical college is responsible for, and it's very clearly laid out, and that's what I would anticipate would happen here.
Very good.
You know, who's in charge of the lawn mowing, you know, all those things. But it's basically kind of the mid-state side and then the city side, if that helps.
That cover everything, Commissioner?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Alderperson Nebo?
Well, I think this is brilliant. I live on the east side, and half of my Alder district is on the east side. So getting a fire station over on that side of town has been very important to me and my neighbors. I think what you propose here is going to make this a destination, probably not just for the state of Wisconsin. And that brings a lot of heads and beds, brings a lot of money to the local economy. So, and you haven't even talked about that win for the city. The only thing I might ask is on the snowplow practice area, you might put some mailboxes up. Because we lost 3 on my street during the blizzard of 2026, and I think that was just the volume of snow that the plows were trying to move. I don't think it was because any snowplow hit the mailbox, but it might not be a bad idea to have a couple of mailboxes along the way.
Great.
So I'm all in with this. I think it's a great idea.
One thing closing, part of where we pick where we would build something like this, it is really the infrastructure that you're able to offer. So it is a compliment to the city of Stevens Point because of the hotels that you have here. We know people are going to be coming in for a week-long training, right? And they need to be able to get a hotel room. They want to be able to go out and have a nice meal. So that is definitely one of the things that we look at. And so I just need to thank you. You are definitely a destination city already, but this will definitely add an economic boost to your area as well.
It's not just a win-win, it's more like a windmill.
But I think our projects, and I will just say this from a mid-state standpoint, we are very proud of what we're doing for our communities. We were just named top 25 community colleges in the nation. We just found that out last week, just like American Idol. And you don't just get that. For the Ameta project, Wayne and I we got outstanding college/corporate partnership out in Seattle a couple of weeks ago. So know that you're working with a partner, because I also can tell you that sometimes if you have a bad partner, it doesn't go very well. So we very much choose the right partners, and that's another compliment to you.
Thank you. All right. If there are no, go ahead.
Building on that, what a great partner Midstate is. Some friends of mine, I think it was the LIFE program that toured. I have heard nothing but great, how amazing that
Yes.
the simulation center.
Yes.
It's just, so if this is anything like that, we're in for something exciting.
The Ameta is 40% up from its first year. That kind of shows you that, when we build something that's based on need, it's not built on just because we want. It's a need. So thank you for that.
Great. Okay, if there's no additional comments from the commission, we have a motion to approve the conceptual plan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is unanimously carried. Item number 5 is a public hearing with subsequent action on a request from Benjamin Nusz, representing Midstate Technical College for a conditional use permit to operate a technical college facility on an unaddressed parcel bounded by Badger Avenue, consistent with Chapter 23.02, Sub 1, Sub C, Sub 3, Sub D. Same project. This is the conditional use portion. Adam, anything to add here?
Nothing further.
Okay. Then I will open up the public hearing. Get the legal stuff out of the way. The public hearing is declared open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony on the conditional use request, step forward. Public hearing remains open. For the third and final time, the public hearing is open. Seeing and hearing no one else wishing to speak, we'll declare that public hearing closed. Bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, Alderperson Kneebone?
I would like to move approval for the conditional use permit to operate a technical college facility on an unaddressed parcel bounded by Badger Avenue.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Shady Strike. Discussion?
Just a clarification, that's with the conditions listed in the staff report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Comments from the audience? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that also is unanimously approved. Item number 6 is a public hearing and subsequent action on a request from Paul Gnan, representing the Central Wisconsin Lutheran High School for a conditional use permit to operate a parochial high school on the property located at 5225 Heffron Court with the parcel identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 23.02, Sub 1, Sub C, Sub 3, Sub D. Adam?
Yeah, so request, I'll actually just start here. So area of the location of the property is identified on the slide here on the far southeast corner of the city's industrial park. You can see industrial uses to the north and to the west, Interstate 39 to the east, and then the single-family residential neighborhood located to the south. So the request is to repurpose the existing building that was, I believe last used by Aero Academy to the proposed Central Wisconsin Lutheran High School, the educational facility. As what was talked about during the last agenda item, an educational facility is a conditional use in almost all city zoning districts. Included in the packet from the applicant is some information as far as the expected number of students that will be enrolled in the first year, 10 to 15 students, and some of the operations that will take place as far as the transportation of students at that facility. Staff would recommend approval as presented, and I appreciate the applicant for sticking around. He'll be here to answer any questions, should there be any.
Okay. Before we open the public hearing, are there any clarifying questions? Okay, then I will declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony, step forward. Name and address for the record, please.
I live at 3730 Cleveland Avenue in Plover, and I moved here in January. I'm principal of Central Wisconsin Lutheran High School. We're hoping to start with grades 9 and 10. There was a 3-year study done, Genesis study, to determine the best place to start a Lutheran high school in this area. And the corridor between Wisconsin Rapids and Stevens Point was kind of the pick. We are looking for a facility to house us for probably 5 to 10 years, and then we would be looking to build a new facility, probably along the 54 corridor. We have a couple of larger Lutheran grade schools in Wisconsin Rapids and here in Stevens Point. We have great opportunity, or Stevens Point has a great opportunity with Pacelli High School to have some private education. As you well know, in grades 10 through 12, there's over 2,000 students at SPASH, and it's tough to participate and get opportunities. They perform great educational things at SPASH. My roommate in college was a graduate of SPASH. We had great times. Very smart individual. What we'd like to do is offer opportunities. It had been Aero Academy. I've talked to ServPro, and I've gone over and visited with the Electrical Workers Union, just to the north, the red building just to the north. We are going to be very much not a classical education, but a traditional educational building. Again, we plan to be there for the first couple of years. We're providing transportation for students from Wisconsin Rapids. That's kind of been our agreement to bring those students over. We'll be working with a lot of non-denominational churches in the area as well, and homeschool people. Again, we'd like to do a lot of service. We talked about cleaning up those industrial areas, doing a number of service days. We also believe that it will be good for the community to have, again, more competition rises everybody. And that's what we hope to do.
Thank you very much. Public hearing remains open. Public hearing is still open. And for the third and final time, the public hearing remains open. Seeing and hearing no one else wishing to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed and bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I'd make a motion to approve.
With staff conditions?
With staff recommendations.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rice. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is approved. Thanks for sticking around. Item number 7 is a public hearing and subsequent action on a request from Tyler Ignatowski representing Little Captain LLC to rezone the property located at 2928 Stanley Street from RLD, which is a low-density residential district, to an R4 multifamily residential district. And we'll turn it over to Adam for the brief.
Yeah, so this proposed development is going to coincide not only with this agenda item, but the subsequent 3. So first, just some background. So the applicant's requesting to construct 3 multifamily buildings on the parcel identified on the presentation slide. Part of the subject property has been in the city for a number of years now. Part of it has been recently annexed by the commission and the council from the town hall into the city, I believe middle part of last year. So I said the request is to construct 3 multifamily residential buildings. 2 of them will be 12-unit buildings. They'll have a one-stall attached garage to service each of those residential units. And then the third and final building will be a 32-unit complex, 2 stories. They'll provide 21 surface parking stalls, 2 detached garage, and 2 detached garage complexes totaling 24 enclosed parking spaces. So there's a lot of land use requests that are tied to this project, but just to give a quick background. So as the mayor mentioned, this property is zoned low-density residential. This agenda item is requesting to rezone the base zoning designation from that low-density residential district to the R4 multifamily 1 residential district. The next agenda item will be focusing on applying a plan development overlay to exceed maximum density requirements. I'll touch more on that in the next agenda item. Should the plan development overlay district designation be approved, as what was alluded to for the plan industrial development for the proposed Nexus project, there are additional items that need commission consideration based off of that plan development rezoning. There'll be adoption of the conceptual plan, adoption of the site plan review, and then lastly, regardless of there being a plan development overlay, they're still subject to the land use standards for the base zoning district. So that's the reason why the requested rezoning to the R4 district is needed, because even if a plan development rezoning is requested, a multifamily residential complex would not be allowed, would be a prohibited use under the low density residence district. So next slide, you can see the proposed site plan, again referencing the 3 primary structures and 2 garage complexes. There's the retention areas essentially on all 4 corners of the property, and then a gravel turnaround area situated on the far north end of the property for emergency services. Next slide, focusing on the rezoning requests. You can see here that all of this property, this is not an updated zoning map, all of this property is highlighted in that light green color, the low-density residence district. And this property, as identified in the Gerke Washington neighborhood plan that this commission considered a couple years back, is identified as commercial office high-density residential for the future land use map, which would be consistent with the proposed development and the proposed zoning designation for the property. So staff would recommend approval of the rezoning request.
Great. All four of these are kind of tied together. Are there any questions on the overall project? Yes, Commissioner Beacom.
56 units. Do we know how many bedrooms?
Offhand, I mean, let's see, the larger complex, the 32-unit complex, that's going to be 1 bedroom, and then I believe the 212-unit, it's 2 bedrooms per unit.
Okay. I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony, step to the lectern and provide the testimony on the rezoning request at this point. Public hearing is still open. And for the third and final time, the public hearing remains open. Seeing and hearing no one wishing to speak, we'll declare the public hearing closed, bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, what are your wishes? Commissioner Schuler?
Make a motion to recommend approval of the rezoning.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll give the second to Artson. Sorry. He had his hand up. Discussion?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
It says that there will be a gravel turnaround.
Yep.
Why gravel? Was there a reason for that?
Just, so this is intended just for fire and EMS. Typically, it could be hard surface. We were looking more for the impervious surface.
It's okay with fire and those guys?
Yeah, that's been reviewed.
Okay.
Yep. And yeah, you can see it's that typical hammerhead design, so the fire trucks and plows and whatever can turn
I
around.
figured it was
Just for
probably
the turnaround.
permeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner Arnson.
I'm not sure which one it would fall under, but I was curious about the stormwater aspect of it. This is an undeveloped parcel, and you're putting a whole bunch of paved surfaces on there, and I don't know if that's real permeable material over there, but I'm just wondering, you sure you got the stormwater calcs done right?
Yeah, so I'd say that would apply more for the site plan review agenda item. I know the applicant, I believe, is on the call. He's been working with Grummer, the consultant producing the plan, so Tyler, if you can make a mental note to address that.
Okay, I'll ask it then.
They'll have to manage their own stormwater on site as well, just like any other development. So.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Commissioner Beacom.
So you got 80 bedrooms, you got 81 parking stalls. There's no place for overflow parking that I see. So for me, it's a no.
Okay. On the rezoning, I would say that would be more of a conditional use permit.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you, Mayor. I'll just touch briefly on the parking calculation. So the parking is, the calculations prescribing how many stalls are needed is in our zoning code, and it's based off of the number of bedrooms per unit. So an efficiency and 1 bedroom unit, I believe, is one parking stall. 2 bedroom unit is, I think, 1.25 stalls or 1.5 stalls. I mean, there can be the conversation as to, are those metrics deemed right in the year 2026 for development that we've seen? I mean, that's obviously a happy conversation to be had for the
Regardless, there's too much congestion, you have no overflow parking. So whether it's conditional use or this, it's going to be a problem.
And I don't disagree with you, regardless of what some people would have you believe, parking is a significant problem. But Commissioner, I would suggest that be, if you're against the project completely,
nope,
I can understand
it's
that.
just inadequate parking.
If you think it's inadequate parking, I would suggest that come up during the conditional use permit, because we can modify that as a condition. In this case, we're only talking about rezoning. So if you're in favor of the rezoning request, you'll vote yes. We won't do a roll call. Just let's do a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, let the record show that Commissioner Beacom voted in the negative. And I'm saying that for whoever takes the minutes because we've been asked that we note that. But it does pass. Item number 8 is a public hearing and a request for action on a planned development overlay district designation for that same property. Adam?
Yeah, so there's the one deviation that's being requested, and that is the density restrictions. Next slide.
Sorry.
You can see the site plan again. The right-hand side is the density calculations. That's going to be the second column in that large chart. Basically, the density calculations for multifamily development is based off of a number of factors. Number of units, are those units ground level versus above floor, how many bedrooms are provided in total. Ultimately, based off of the proposed development, the minimum lot size that would be needed to meet these density standards would be 215,200 square feet, and the subject property is just shy under 130,000 square feet. So again, plan development, rezoning request, this is the opportunity to outline deviations from zoning code requirements that are being asked of by the applicant for a plan development request. Essentially the skinny of what is it? Essentially, the commission has the opportunity to grant, again, exceptions to these code requirements in return for going above and beyond in other facets of the proposed site development. Unfortunately, at least for you folks as a commission, typically a common phrase that's used is, hey, the site design has to be above and beyond, has to be high quality. However, there really isn't much guidance to you folks as to what's considered high quality. For projects in the past, how you achieve that, it could be for going above and beyond, it could be focusing on architectural design. Think of the single-family residential subdivision just to the north of here, Moses Crossing. That's technically in a planned development overlay that has modified architectural standards. Planned development overlay could focus on specific land uses that are being proposed as the justification for this planned development request. Think of the Harmony Village complex on the far north side of town as being one example, and that being the justification that was raised at that time. Could be items considering the site design. So that's a couple examples, but essentially the point is there's no clear guideline as to what specific benchmarks you have to use to claim if a project is of high quality. Ultimately, it's subjective, and it's up to you to consider on a case-by-case basis. Ultimately, the applicant in the submittal referenced a few items, reference the proposed land use itself. I'm going to make note of the larger, the one building, 36 unit complex being 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, relatively small floor area for each, focusing on the affordability factor, and how half of those units would be lower level, ground floor, more of a zero entry door when we're focusing on the accessibility piece of new housing units that are constructed here in the city. I think I'll leave it right there, but again, this is the one deviation that's being requested, the density restriction, so that'll leave it to the mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions before I open the public hearing? Okay, then I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony on this request, step forward and provide that testimony.
So we're an age-friendly community, or we're supposed to be, but we have been approving a lot of developments that are not accessible. This one has 0 accessible units, meaning people with wheelchairs, people that cannot go up steps. The development along the river, 0 accessible units. The other one downtown, 0. So if we can, if that's allowed within the plan development overlay condition here, I would say that maybe we need to put in some requirements for zero clearance because we have a high demand for them. We were on a 3-year wait for my grandma and a 2-bedroom, and we were looking in Anago, Wausau, and Stevens Point, and we ended up having to pay to take out the bathroom in a unit and then make it accessible for my grandma because we didn't want to wait any longer. And when I just met with somebody at ADRC, they're trying to move their father here, and they could find a 2-bedroom unit for $1,700. He can't afford to sell his house to move into that because it'll cost him too much to be in that. So if these are going to be lower rent units, can we possibly talk about ensuring that some of them are also accessible units? And with the parking situation, maybe require some bicycle parking or a way for having other modes of parking. And that gravel, I don't know if it would be okay to do, but they do have the type of mesh. It's a black one that has grass planted in it, so it's then more permeable, but it looks like grass. So then they know where the turnaround is, but it would look like grass, and that might help with some of the stormwater. And native plants. Let's put some of those in.
Public hearing remains open. Public hearing is still open. And for the third and final time, the public hearing remains open. Okay, seeing and hearing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. This is on the Planned Development Overlay District designation. Commissioners, what are your wishes? Mr. Schuler?
I'm kind of stuck on this one. I very much like the idea of seeing what a smaller sized single bedroom, single bath apartment could do for our housing situation. As was mentioned in the report, it's been a point of concern for a long time. Do we have enough of those type of units? And these look like, if you just do a simple calculation, in the 32-unit building, they're 450 square feet. And I find that intriguing conceptually. I get back to Pete's concern, which he'll also bring up, but as I look at the site, there's a lot of building, there's a lot of concrete, and the only open space would be for the stormwater, right? That would become the open space on the property. And it couldn't be constructed unless it matched capacity with what's going to be generated on the site. And I guess we're in the process in the zoning code rewrite of discussing what appropriate square footage requirements are for multi-unit buildings. So that's kind of a little bit in flux. So the request to have more density on the site could be a reasonable one. But then I get back to one of the particulars of the district that they're asking for, a plan district, is how does it go above and beyond? And as I look at the architecture, it seems to be very similar to previous duplex or buildings like this with garage forward design down the entry drive. So it's seemingly very similar to things that have been approved previously, not with the consideration for the planned district. The landscaping certainly, as proposed, is pretty, I don't mean sparse in a negative way, but as indicated on one of the sheets in the application materials, it's spirea and some grasses at various points across. And again, it was a rendering, not an actual landscaping plan. I really like the concept of what this can maybe accomplish on this site. I don't know if I can believe that it rises to a standard that makes it a true planned development district. And so, Mr. Beacom had brought up the issues with his thoughts on parking, and certainly if you're adding half again as much density to the site, you're certainly pushing that envelope that he's concerned about. So I like the idea. I like the way it can be situated perpendicular to the road in a way that it's not just facing the street. You've got a sort of just tucked in to the site. But again, I'm really on kind of the fence here of understanding if this really merits that. I love the concept. I just don't know if we can give it the blessing of it's a higher and better design.
Okay, understood. Yeah, well, and I think some of the things that are brought forward with staff recommendations are based in a large part, really, about the direction that council and others have provided regarding their wishes. Mm-hmm. Project density has been a very big issue. Well, density generally means less green space, and I love my green space. Mm-hmm. But that's usually what happens is when you want density, you sacrifice other things. And I think that's what this is looking at. Could it be less dense? Absolutely. Could there be more green space and landscaping? Absolutely. But the direction that at least previous councils have provided are density. We want density. We want lower affordable rents. Yeah. And density helps create that sometimes.
And that's part of my quandary is if subsidizing a project through density and not money, but through density, that's another effort to make to bring about a project that everyone agrees is a goal, right? Yeah. So that's another complicated
One nice thing with the green space, Schmeekley's literally a stone's throw away, so that's nice. Commissioner Beacom.
Regarding rents, and apologies if I missed it, what's the projected one-bedroom and two-bedroom rent rate?
I don't know offhand. I don't know offhand. I would defer to the applicant.
Is the applicant here?
Tyler?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so one-bedroom rents would be targeting $950 and two-bedroom rents would be targeting $1,150. And then I just have a couple other comments. I was just taking some notes. So for the parking, I think that was misstated. So I'm showing that we'd be able to have 104 parking spots total at the property. That's including the parking spaces inside of the garages.
Yeah, I included those as well. This is based.
Your report says 81.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's based off of how much is provided. I also included, or I did not include, rather, the parking spaces that, in theory, could be located, say, on the individual driveways. Mm-hmm. I don't. At least when I'm looking at the context of a site design, I consider that as more of extras, not counting towards meeting that minimum or not. But so that's my guess as to where that discrepancy may be.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Tyler?
Actually, Tyler, would you be able, since it was brought up a couple times, would you be able to bring up the stormwater piece of it?
Yeah, absolutely. That was another note. So I'm working with Grummer on it. Stormwater plans to take to the DNR are very expensive. I know we've done it in the past where we essentially they look at everything, they run calculations, they know what they can fit, and they feel comfortable enough putting a preliminary plan together. And then essentially, obviously, nothing would be able to move forward unless we met that NOI and DNR stormwater management requirements. So we've had multiple conversations with Grummer. Grummer feels very comfortable with the site plan, very comfortable that they can fit everything that they need to onto the site in reference to stormwater management.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Yes.
Going to Alder Olson's comment about accessibility and widths of doors and things, I'm looking at that in my own house. And my doors are not wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair, which I think I will end up as my mode of transportation. Are there state mandates, or is that just something that a developer may do on their own? Would Mr. Ignatowski be willing to put a couple of accessible units on the ground floor? I know it would be probably something that would go very fast.
Yeah.
Let's start with the administrator.
Yeah, so typically for your larger residential complexes, there is the requirement through the commercial building code that there are, I forgot what the calculation is offhand and how much that would equate to here, the number of units that have to be fully ADA compliant. Going above and beyond what the state building code requires, there is the specific act that I am blanking on at the moment that Attorney Beveridge can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this would be an area where if we, say as a condition, require the applicant to go above and beyond what the state building code requires, that would be in violation of that legislative act.
Okay.
Obviously, if the applicant is willing to consider that, not as a condition, but more just like a
Nice thing.
friendly advice from the commission, I would hope that he'd be willing to at least consider that.
Perhaps I would throw that in there then as.
Mr. Ignatowski, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I actually had that written down, so glad we could touch on this. So Adam's correct. Building codes do require it. Once you hit a certain number of units, you have to legally have so many ADA compliant units. I know when I was speaking with the architect on that, I believe it was going to be one ADA unit. There's a calculation for it, but the way that we were going to do it, I believe, was already over. I think we had to have either 4 or 6, and what we planned on doing was 1 in each building. So essentially, it's an ADA for the common space to come into it. It's ADA from the garage space, on like the 2-bedroom units, for example, to come into it. And then those bathrooms, kitchens, everything else is obviously ADA compliant.
So just so I understand that, Mr. Ignatowski, you're planning on 10 ADA units? You have 10 buildings?
Correct, 10 units.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? Commissioner Artson?
Well, the planned development district and needing some higher and better, like, use for it as compared to standard to justify it. Doesn't look like you're going to get it due to green space and other aspect of construction. Could, talking about the statute, could we make that, the accessibility issue tie in with the planned development district approval? Because otherwise, this could all be done, under standard zoning, wouldn't need it, except for the density issue. So in allowing for the greater density, could we say part of that density needs to be accessibility consideration?
Are you asking just for clarification to go more than the 10 or so that is the minimum that's required under building code?
Yes.
Or by meeting that 10 that...
You say that for the conditional use permit, but we're talking about changing it to a planned development. We're not in the conditional use stage yet. So could we make that a condition of the planned development?
I would say not to exceed more than what state building code requires as minimums. Now, and this was a comment I was going to raise earlier, where if there's suggestions that the commission has as ways to, in your opinions, better go above and beyond, case in point, the landscaping plan, this landscaping that was referenced earlier, or some of the, say, the exterior materials used for the buildings, if there's changes that you would like to see and those changes be more apt for having the plan development rezoning be approved, then now is the opportunity. If there's any specific recommendations you'd like to see, and since the applicant's here, I think that's a perfect opportunity.
I just don't see much capacity for improved landscaping if the entire parcel is building and pavement and stormwater pond. I mean, you're getting to some pretty small, superficial type landscaping considerations for them to be ramped up to the higher and better type classification.
I think
Adam,
Laura...
were you referring to that Assembly Bill 453? The one that we
beats me about the specific number. Yeah. It was not that one. No, it's been in place for a
different
few years
zoning
now.
one.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner.
So I have questions regarding acoustics to the neighbors, so sound traveling from an apartment building, or multiple apartment buildings in this case, to, because I believe in the map, there's some single-family homes that yet flank it. With the density as tight as it is, with, it looks like the setbacks being kind of small also, there is no room to build any acoustic barriers through landscaping or other means. So I guess my concern is, how are the neighbors gonna like this?
Yeah, and this is the tricky dynamic of balancing both existing built environment and what the future land use pattern for that area is desired to be through our long-range plans. Case in point, you have single-family homes adjacent, whereas our future land use map identifies this for commercial office, higher density residential. And so for the homes on the west side of the property, so the 2 garage units and the 30 some odd unit complex, the location of those 2 detached garages were purposely positioned so that it would be directly east of those single-family homes, and additionally having those stormwater ponds being situated between the garage complex and those single-family homes to add more separation. And so you're not having, say, somebody who lives in that 36-unit apartment complex, they're sitting out in their patio, they're not looking over at that adjacent single-family home a handful of feet away. For the east end of the property, I think this was a condition on the site plan review I put, but basically you can see on the overhead view, one slide previous to this, that there is a fair amount of existing trees along the east lot line. So as a condition on there is basically saying that to the greatest extent possible, that as much of those trees are retained as possible. Obviously, some of that may have to come down in terms of construction mobilization, but not all of this will have to be demoed. And I did speak with the applicant about this previously, and that is his intent to retain as much of those trees as possible to add that acoustic buffer as you referenced, while still having that as a condition to the site plan.
We don't have any grading information that would show how the potential building pad levels for the buildings on the east side would be impacting the vegetation, do we?
I don't offhand, no.
And like I said, that would be a big variable depending on how they had to grade the site for construction.
Mm-hmm.
Just what the viability of any of that stuff would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if Sam or Alder Lang.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, I apologize, I didn't see you.
Blended into the wall.
This is just Sam Lang, Alder for District 9, 15, 47 strong staff. Just a comment on Commissioner Arnson's comment about the landscaping. I kind of noticed in some of our street design things that we have on file that they kind of want to do like these planted down the center sort of things. Is this kind of like,
you mean like
they have not the
a
space?
Raised median? Is that what you're referring to?
Not necessarily a raised median, but like the planted median where it's like, yeah, it's lifted up, but like, you know, some smaller.
In the center of the road?
Yeah.
The driveway servicing those?
You're right. And so my thought was, from what he's talking about with adding green space, like this area seems like to be prime if there's enough room there, or these are, you know.
Yeah, Alderperson Lang, nobody can hear you over there.
Okay, so from what I was hearing is they want to add some green space, and I was thinking that space in the middle, maybe
Under
like
through the private drive, adding a
Yeah.
raised median with some.
yeah, a
plantings.
long strip or something like that, if that would be something that you guys would like to consider, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say, so the driveway is 24 feet in width, prescribed under code. Minimum aisle width has to be 11 feet, so you would have a 2 foot wide, 2 feet of extra width if you wanted to do that.
And this is, the other one was like, I'm just not understanding, what is this little stuff right here? These
Driveway?
Driveways.
Driveway, okay, so it's, and the other side doesn't have driveways, correct?
Yeah, that's all surface parking.
Okay.
In front of the complex.
Okay. If there was enough space, there was a thought that crossed my mind.
Thank you. All right, we get a motion on this?
Negative.
Okay. Commissioners?
Sorry, can I ask one more question? Adam, you referenced a couple of density numbers, square foot of lot for units, current code versus what this is proposed. Can you refresh me?
Yeah, let me find it. So current lot size is just shy under 130,000. Based off of the density calcs under the R4 district, minimum lot size would be 250,000. Minimum lot size needed would be 215,200 square feet.
215, so.
Yep, and I know this was referenced earlier by Commissioner Schuler about context of zoning code rewrite and kind of the interesting dynamic of dealing with the rewrite while also applying development to existing codes. The density calculations under the rewrite for the multifamily districts were reviewed by this commission maybe 2 months ago or so. I can say for certainty the density restrictions that was reviewed a couple months ago are less restrictive than what's on the books right now. Now, ultimately, if those exact density standards are applied under this proposed development, is there the need for the plan development rezoning request? I don't know, but at the very least, I'm comfortable in saying that the degree of a deviation that's being requested would be less under the density calculations that you folks reviewed a couple months ago versus what's on the books today.
Okay, thank you.
Now, consideration of a motion. Commissioner Schuler.
Just a quick summary. It sounds like as we've been talking, people raise concerns about ADA access. That was discussed anecdotally. Landscaping, if there's any ways to improve the landscaping, whether it be to convert some of the river rock to some other, a more extensive type of landscaping along the foundation of at least the 32-unit building. And there might have been others. If that's kind of the thoughts that we're passing around, how would that get fashioned into a motion that could be understood and voted on by the commissioners as to what you think might be acceptable to approve the PD district?
I would say place that as a condition to the rezoning request. We would just have to make the mental note that any additional conditions.
We already did the rezoning request, though.
For the plan development.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Have that be a condition, but just make sure that under the site plan review request, 2 items from now, that's reflected under those conditions as well.
Because this motion would be to, with these conditions, an application of the PD district would be appropriate. That would be the intent of the motion with these conditions.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. My eyes are crossing.
You are the most appropriate person to make that.
To cross my eyes.
Motion, or cross your eyes, dot your T's.
I just want to know if the commissioners feel like those 2 things are the main issues. Certainly, Pete's becomes addressed because the drainage would have to be approved by either the city or the DNR.
And that's a condition already on the site plan review, I believe, that the stormwater management plan is approved prior to land disturbance.
So right now we're looking at accessibility and enhanced landscaping as ways to kind of make it so that it is actually higher and better development concept for the property. I mean, that's the only way I can look at it.
Landscaping, yes. The accessibility, if you're talking about the ADA compliance, that would be no, because then you'd be going above and beyond what state building code requires.
State building code.
Right.
Yeah.
But you already have 10 units.
Well, anecdotally, right? In our conversation, it's been explained to us that there'd be that many units.
Tyler, is that what was required, or is that what you were proposing?
My understanding was there was a calculation, and I should have written this down. I wish I'd just call my architect right now, but I know it's late. I thought it was 6, and I thought his plan is to just make it so one of every single building would have an ADA unit.
Okay.
10 buildings.
Yeah, so thinking 6, just to recap, so thinking 6 will be the minimum that's required per code, but applicants, by his own right, wishing to go above the minimum that's prescribed.
You understand my
I do. You're
my
stating
hiccup
that
on
as
that.
the justification, to put that on the record, potentially as a justification for a motion. Yes.
Sure.
Maybe just to comment to you more directly, I mean, I think the crux of a number of concerns, including Commissioner Beacon's concern about parking, just really comes down to density. I think there are some pretty significant concerns about total density, and although it's absolutely true that the city has pushed for higher density projects than even what our zoning code calls for, there is a limit, a functional limit, and we kind of have to take a look at that one piece at a time. So opportunities for improved landscaping and improved parking are going to be really limited unless we ask the applicant to consider something slightly less dense. I don't know that it's reasonable or realistic to go back and say that a planned development has no merit and that they should simply propose a project that meets current density metrics in the ordinances, because we know that probably runs into kind of a financial wall, I think, for the developer and then renters. But there's probably some happy medium. And so again, to comment kind of more directly to you in terms of, what am I thinking? Like, I'm almost inclined to delay action and maybe recommend some reconsideration. Is there an opportunity to remove some of the density and still, from the developer's standpoint, maintain affordability on the project, knowing that the reduced density also maybe helps us check boxes in parking, landscaping, water retention, and some of that.
And our specific action would be on a variance to allow the 215,000. So our motion would have to be that, because that's the request, unless we want to try to engineer something on the fly, which I think Commissioner Rice's idea is.
Simply postpone action.
That's why I'm saying Commissioner Rice's idea was a very good idea.
And ask him to bring it back.
If I may add real quick.
Sure.
I know this was alluded to earlier by you, Mayor, about the direction given in the past about increasing density for developments. Parking was addressed a little bit, a few times now. With the amount of parking spaces that are provided relative to what the code requires is more than the 100% is more than the minimum that's required. Now, keep in mind, under our zoning code, we allow applicants to essentially fall within the 100% of stalls that are needed up to 150% of that minimum that's needed. If you go beyond that 150%, 150%, technically that requires special action by the council. And I know this is maybe ripping the Band-Aid of the conversation that is parking, and that's something that we'll be having down the road, but I just want to make sure that if that's ultimately the route that this commission takes of postponing and asking for basically a lesser unit count while keeping the same amount of parking spaces as is, that may result in a situation of having more than 150% of stalls as required under code. And is that something that the commission and the council ultimately is agreeable to? Because there's been actions in the past that would seem to say that going above that 150% not desired. I know there were one or two requests during my tenure where an applicant asked to go above 150% and that got denied. So I'm just saying that as food for thought, just if that's the route that you want to go, and I just want to make sure that kind of there's a general consensus.
Commissioner Beacom.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I appreciate the last time you said required, because you said needed the first two times. We don't know what's needed. I think the policy over the last 10 years has taken us in a direction where we're not meeting the need of parking, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And this, you have no place to go. Where we have under-parked developments in the past, we have had places for them to spill out into the rest of the neighborhood. There's no place for that parking to spill out here. Now, to the applicant's point, 104 is in the range of probably what's realistic for parking need. Regardless of what's required, that probably fits within that number, but it doesn't change the fact that this is probably too dense and too ambitious for this parcel. But to me, there's a big difference between need and what's required. We're not meeting the need. We might be meeting the minimum requirements, but our requirements have been lower than what they've needed to be for some time.
Thank you. Alderperson Kiemer.
Thank you. Alder Kiemer from District 3. I think I agree that this seems very dense, which again I would think is what makes it more affordable for the developer and for potential tenants. I think what would be helpful for me and perhaps for the commission is if this is delayed and it comes back, if there could be some sort of comparison in how the density of this project compares to the Banter Apartments on Division, or I think it's the Oaks and the Reserve on Maria, because that's very much what this reminds me of. And both of those projects, I mean, the buildings and the parking takes up essentially the entire parcel, just like this. Like this project, those apartments are on commercial corridors, which is what Stanley is. So although it seems maybe striking in this context of Stanley Street, which is such a hodgepodge of single family and commercial and business and apartments, I think if you saw it in another on, I don't know, South Church Street or, Maria or Division, it might not seem as extreme. So that's my request, I guess, is if we could have some sort of density comparison to how this compares to other high-density apartment projects. Thanks.
Make a note of that, please. Alderperson Olson.
I agree with everything she just said, and also back, I forget how many years we used to have an ordinance that required you to have a certain percentage of green space on a lot so that people on smaller lots couldn't have pretty much just buildings on them. Maybe just showing the percentage of green space to driveway and building space might bring things into context too, because if you see suddenly that it's 60-40 or something like that, it's like, oh, well, that might change somebody's perspective. Also, I did find that because this is actually UWSP has a pamphlet thing out there about the overlay district like this, and you can, it says state statute, I can pull it up again, that you can require that there are more ADU units accessible units than what the state building code requires. I just found that, and I can share that with you, Adam, too, so that could be double checked, but that would be a good thing. And the Northside Yard is one of the places that I'd sort of compare this to for parking. We ran into a parking issue there, but maybe looking at how many parking spots they were required versus here, because there were so few there, I feel that this is a lot more than they have. And the rents seem very, very comparable. A studio is $1,000 a month. That's 389 square feet. So if you want to see how 400 square feet gets utilized within floor plans, they have pictures of the apartments there that then you could compare with some of the floor plans that are presented here. But I appreciate the increased density here, and if we were in a larger city or something, our minds might be a little bit different on this project, because it would be, oh, this is a lot of green space, but here, because we're used to more green space, this isn't very much green space.
Thank you.
I'll just add, if I may, just briefly. So just based off the last couple speakers about the desire for comparables, I think one of the difficult things maybe for the commission is that there's going to be apples to oranges comparisons because Northside Yard, Banter, Convent, they're all located in an area where minimum parking, the number of minimum parking spaces are exempt. Whereas on the property here, there is no exemption to that. They're required to meet the minimum as is. So obviously glad to provide that data for you, but just wanted to make that note that it's not going to be a clear apples to apples comparison because there's other land use regs for that.
So commissioners, in taking my notes, the concerns I saw were parking, landscaping, density, and accessibility. It certainly would not be out of order to send it back to staff and ask that those concerns be more addressed before we move any further on the project. I don't necessarily disagree, especially on some of the other things like parking. Just understand that additional parking, additional landscaping requires it to be less dense. If you want to reduce the number of units, that will likely have an effect on the affordability. Everything is kind of give and take, right? There's a balance, and if you make it less dense, the cost of it usually goes up, which is passed on to the tenants. So if our priority is affordability, that would lean you in a direction one way. If our priority is density and tax base, that would lead us in a bit of a different direction, leaning-wise. Those are all very valid thoughts, very valid concerns, but it's up to this body and the Common Council to determine what those priorities are. So if this is something that you want to see addressed in the designation of a plan development overlay district, or in regards to the conditional use, or the site plan review, all of which are up for discussion tonight, maybe it's best just to take those concerns that have been vocalized tonight, send it back to staff, have staff work with the developer to address those concerns, and bring it back at another time. Commissioner Arntzen.
I make a motion to postpone the decision pending staff review and bring it back again sometime after you've addressed some of those issues and concerns, evaluated them more thoroughly.
All right, was there a second to that motion? Seconded by Schuler. This is another chance for you to make known any concerns that you have. Again, density, parking, landscaping, and accessibility are the ones that I had noted. If there are other concerns now or anytime in the next couple of days, contact the Community Development Department and put those in there. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, the only thing I'd be concerned about is that hammerhead turnaround. That's not really a place to grow grass. You're going to have fire engines turning around on there. You need to have the proper amount of road base. And the gravel, it's still impermeable, so you could have landscaping around it, but that horse or the hammer turnaround should be enough to hold a fire truck. All right, all those in favor of postponing signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I'm going to then postpone, take those items number 9 and 10 off the agenda for tonight.
We should be able to do 10 for sure, 9. So the purpose of the conditional use is allowance of multifamily and having more than one main structure, primary structure on the same
Honestly,
parcel.
Adam, I think it'd probably be best just to bring everything back.
Okay. That's what the wish is. That's fine.
I mean, is there objection from the committee on that?
No.
It really makes sense to do it all at once if we're gonna do it.
I think so.
Okay. Are we going to do the public hearing now or no?
Well, let's give it another shot at the public hearing. Yeah, I know there's some requirements that you'll have to meet regarding publishing, but I think we can do those.
Okay.
And that way we make sure everybody's got lots of opportunity to voice their opinions.
Okay.
All right, so 9 and 10 are also postponed. The next one is item number 11. Let me get there. And this is a request from the city of Stevens Point to exercise a buyback option with Schertz Properties with a document here and a PIN. What is PIN?
Property identification number.
Property identification number. Basically what happened is years ago when I was on council, the city sold a small piece of property to a developer who was putting in apartments. That property has sold. We protected the taxpayers' ability to buy that property back, and we're effectively asking for authorization to now exercise that buyback option. As you know, the purview of the Plan Commission is to make a recommendation on any acquisition or disposition of land that the city owns, so we'd be looking for a recommendation either to acquire or not acquire. Adam, did I miss anything?
Should be all set.
All right, Commissioners. Commissioner Beacom.
What's the city's plan once it purchases it?
Parking.
For?
That lot, very likely permitted parking.
Okay.
Every parking spot costs a little bit of money. Permits are one of the ways that the taxpayers can be compensated for the use of those and the maintenance that's required on all of those, including paving and striping and plowing and everything else that goes along with a parking spot. Commissioner Schuler.
Make a motion to authorize the acquisition of the land.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Arnson. Any discussion there? Comments from the audience? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved. What did we miss here? Well, no presentation for the discussion on the Forest Creek stuff? Just a...
Nope, just a
Go ahead,
discussion.
Director.
Yeah, so wanted to bring this forward to you guys. As you know, Forest Creek Phase 1 has filled up rather quickly, which is fantastic to see. With it filling up quickly, we're obviously looking towards our next phase of the project. Staff has did a little bit of an evaluation on Phase 2, which is just to the south of Phase 1. It's between Gala and Regent. The city owns a large majority of the property there. However, there is a small chunk that is under an option that is exercisable by 2028. So there's a little bit of land to be acquired yet, but factoring that in for Phase 2 as the option has been signed and executed. We're just waiting on timing. I guess staff is bringing this forward as a bit of a courtesy. So with Phase 1, staff took the lead. Great experience, but quite a bit of staff time to get everything going, manage the project, sell the lots, etc. So I guess in staff's mind, in checking with our office, in checking with Public Works, checking with a variety of other individuals in the office, we had determined that it would be best, now that the concept has been proven, to pass this on and allow somebody who does this for a living to take on this project, finish building it out, manage it, sell those lots, etc. So that's really what I'm bringing forward in front of you today here is just a little bit of a courtesy notice. We're looking to go out to RFP, see what proposals we get back in, and then evaluate from there. So I did put some just general information on what we'd be looking for. However, we are going to leave it up to the individuals who respond to the RFP to put together a formal site layout, recommendations on what they would be looking for lot sizing, total project or total parcel yield, the type of housing that's going in there. Obviously, we're going to promote, some density or some diverse ranges of housing. So twin homes, zero lot line, things like that, single family, variety of lot sizes, but also something that, people are looking for, and that are going to suit the community well. There are a few other items that are a little bit more of a non-negotiable. So there was always a pedestrian pathway, whether that be a trail, multi-use trail, or a sidewalk on the south side of Gala. So that'd be a non-negotiable. And then, of course, there will be some pricing since we already have installed some infrastructure in that area. So that'll be discussed next week at Finance. But a few non-negotiables as a part of this. But yeah, just want to really bring this in front of you, as well as Finance and Council. No formal action is required at this time, but if there's any comments of things that we should watch out for or consider as a part of this process, now would be the time. And then just as a quick note, just as a visual, had put in potential layout of what a subdivision could look like. A few of the streets are already predetermined, so there's not as much flexibility as maybe one would like, but
Okay, commissioners? We'll
you could
start with
just-
Schuler and then go to Beacom.
Please require that the cul-de-sac is round.
You don't like the octagon?
You know, it's intriguing, but we talked about plowing earlier, and that just might kind of goof things up.
Fair enough.
Thanks. Plus, people might fight in there. It'd be weird.
It would. There's only a few of us that'll remember that. Right? Will Chamberlain, right?
I think this has been a good project for the city. Credit to the director and his staff. I mean, I'm surprised how many of these we've moved. I thought it would be successful because it's a nice area, but I think this has been a good thing for the city and proof that we can probably do more of this.
A lot quicker than we thought, yeah. Good. Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay.
Well, I would hope we'd get some, unique ideas from some of these developers, some things that we maybe don't see here or haven't seen yet that might be.
Like an octagon-shaped cul-de-sac?
Well, like a couple of tiny homes or something, smaller.
And I'll say to that comment too, historically, the city has not worked with many subdivision developers per se. The Whitetail subdivision, the city took on themselves. The Forest Creek Phase 1, the city took on themselves. So I think this is a really great opportunity to foster some relationships in which we can try to better promote a few of those developers to take on new and unique projects in the city and draw them in and keep them here.
Absolutely. Alderperson Guthrie.
Jackie Guthrie, Alder District 2. I really appreciated all of the values that we were able to manifest in the first component of the Forest Creek development. Tell me if we do not get the type of proposals that we want in the RFP, what's our parallel plan?
Yeah, so if we don't get back what we're looking for, and of course, staff is going to vet before we bring anything forward, we would try to work with any of those respondees. If they're all missing the mark, maybe we resubmit the RFP with some additional, information that better guides them. And I guess if ultimately it is just not something that we are looking to work with any of those submissions on, then we could take the route of doing it ourselves. But I have a high confidence that we will find a developer that will be fitting our needs, considering a few of them are already building in Forest Creek Phase 1. So,
said another way, this doesn't lock us into a concept that we
are not obligated to accept any of the RFPs.
Thanks for confirming that.
Okay, is there any objection to going out to RFP? And I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? It makes sense to at least see what's out there.
Yeah.
If there's nothing we like, we just say no. All right, then we will do that and bring it back at some point in the future when we have some answers for you. Item number 13 is the monthly report for March. Report.
Yeah, we have seen a fair amount of new mobile homes being put up. Those are marked as single family.
Is that mostly in the Four Seasons area?
Yeah, that is up off of Torren Road, right. So airport side of the city, north there.
Schultz.
Yep, which is great to see. This is a housing type that I think is often overlooked, but it is something that is very much needed in our community, and it does service quite a few people. So great to see that. But yeah, any questions? I guess that's really the highlight.
Okay. Any questions for the director? Yes. Alderperson Kiemer.
Thank you. Yeah, just quick question about the annual comparisons at the bottom where it shows like the total numbers for the year. Is that for the same time last year, or are those annual, like for 2025, we had 250 permits as of March of 2025? Okay, so it's just
year to date.
Got it.
Year
Okay.
to date for each year.
Thank you.
That gives us a running idea of how we did in the previous years to this point. Okay, then the last thing we have is the director's report.
Yeah, I guess not a lot has changed. We have a lot of projects generally in the works and things that you're already seeing in front of you. As mentioned, Forest Creek lots are selling rather quickly. We do only have 5 left that are non-committed. Neighborhood housing programs, there is a program, City and the Habitat for Humanity have partnered for Rock the Block. So there's a great event where they have, I believe, is it five properties that they have selected based on the applications that have come in. They have fundraised a select dollar amount in which then we will partner with them with our Neighbor Helping Neighbor grant on some of those, as long as they qualify, to spruce up those properties, exterior, exterior painting, siding, windows, decluttering, cleaning, yard maintenance, et cetera. So it's really, Rock the Block is to spruce it up and really make a difference there. So great partnership that I think I hope everybody is aware of, something that they want to continue doing year after year, that they will need more and more volunteers for fundraising. So definitely keep your eye out, and if you're able to contribute, whether your hands or open your wallets, it's a great thing to contribute towards. Other than that, City Hall bids are out. We're just waiting for those to come back in, and then we can evaluate them, and you'll see more on that. So that's probably about it.
One quick question.
Yes.
Where did the sales proceeds from the Forest Creek lot sales go?
We used it for a vacation. No, I'm kidding.
Excellent.
For each of us, right?
Well, yes, everybody.
Except
Schuler, because you'd be in. No, they...
So they come back in. We have a select account for Forest Creek specifically. We do have that, and I don't know, I won't speak exactly to the comptroller, but we do have obviously select payments that we need to make. I do think we have it deferred for a few years, but most of that would stay in there for that purpose. Otherwise, some of that could be reallocated for a project until then, but obviously.
Okay, but it's not
very
used for any other programming.
Yeah, correct.
Not at this point.
Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, we did the same thing with Whitetail Subdivision. It was used for costs incurred within that subdivision, and then at some point, I think we authorized it to, any proceeds to go into it might have been the Housing Trust Fund.
Thank you.
I have a quick question that I think just has left my, on the Rock the Block, will Habitat, they're the ones that are organizing it, will they be doing any PR to get community folks to come in and help also on those days? Or do they just have a core group of volunteers?
I will let Chris.
Yes, they've already started their, I guess, marketing campaign on the project. They've partnered with the Portage County Business Council and also asked for some help with some radio advertisement.
There was a program similar in Dallas called People Helping People, and groups would take a project. We had a state plan commission or urban planning meeting there, and that weekend we painted a house on the south side of Dallas. All the urban planners they came to the conference. So I wondered if there were opportunities like that.
We'll send Adam out for a week
to get around. Cool. Good. Thanks.
All right. With that, our agenda is exhausted, and we are adjourned at 8:20.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.